morning, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. I hope you can all see me. Can you let me know in the comments if you can? I think I've got it all working, but boy, did we have some technical issues this morning. Jeez. It's a transfer window. All this chaos is going to start. But yeah, good morning to everybody. We're here to speak about the Dan Ashworth updates from yesterday. It seems like the story, well, the plot thickens. Honestly, I'm laughing at this point. Like, never a dull moment. That is a way you can... That's like a little tagline for Manchester United. Never a dull moment. It doesn't mean you're going to enjoy the moments, but it's never a dull moment. Yeah. And last night, Pochettino got sacked by Chelsea out of the blue, having actually turned it around with Chelsea. Weird. And, of course, immediately everybody started talking about him. And I've seen some... in fact, I'm going to pull this one up. Pull this name up here. Where is it? Because I read the comments. I always get involved. Actually, very disappointed with Sam and the clickbaiting headline with Poch. Thought this channel was better than that. I mean, I'm not really sure how me commenting on David Ornstein's comments, which were on Sky Sports last night, is clickbaiting. Really don't know. I think you're stretching. You're really, really stretching there, my friend. But anyway, who's here from the mod gang? I'm going to say hello, and then I'll run through. We'll speak about Marcus Rashford. We'll speak about Poch for a little tiny bit, if I can. What? We'll speak about Dan Ashworth and quite a few other things, all right? It's going to be, as always, it'll be a busy show. Let's see who's here from Member Gang. Is it working on Facebook this morning? I hope it is working on Facebook. Have I got the Facebook comments coming in? Aaron, good morning to you. I can see some Facebook comments. Stephen Lawrence. We've got Veli Boy. We've got Loyo. So Mike, I think it's all working there. Let's have a look. Gungshi, good morning to you and Carl as well. Josh, Alex, good morning to you. Who else is here? Let's have a quick look. I had a lot to do this morning. My head is absolutely spinning right now. Good morning to you, Jonathan. Mark, Andrew. We've got Nat watching from Thailand. How you doing, man? We've got Natasha Block 119. I like that username. It's cool. And Cribs. Plenty of you joining in. Now, I'll speak about Dan Ashworth a little bit later in the show, and I'll have a passing comment on the Pochettino situation. But for sure, the headline from yesterday, which we spoke about it in the live show yesterday, and I said, given how Gareth Southgate operates, or has operated so far as England manager, I expected Marcus Rashford to be included in the squad for England. But it was released yesterday, right? And this is the full squad. Now, this is obviously going to get whittled down by, I think, 4 players. I think 4 players leave before the actual final squad. Jared Branthwaite's made it in there. Congrats to Harry Maguire. Who are the sort of surprises? Adam Wharton. Man, Crystal Palace are so good at signing players from the Championship. They really are. And that's down to Dougie Freedman. You can see why he's getting linked with a Newcastle job. But of course, going to the forwards, there is no Marcus Rashford. Jude Bellingham, Jarrod Bowen, Eze, Phil Foden, Gordon, Grealish. I mean, I'm not really sure why Grealish got in there either, I'll be totally honest. But there's no Marcus Rashford. And it is big news. It's not a surprise. Right? It's not a surprise that he isn't in the squad. I personally thought, as I said, because of how Southgate operates, or has operated previously, he's kind of loyal to certain players. That's why he's always played Harry Maguire. Luke Shaw's gone. Well, Luke Shaw is in the training squad. Now, speaking about Marcus Rashford, this is what Gareth Southgate said. I want to know your opinions on this, right? And what do you think is going to be the consequence of it? Apparently, I went past Luke Shaw. Anyway, Luke Shaw's in the squad. He said, these are difficult calls with Marcus. I just feel that other players in that area of the pitch have had better seasons. And I don't particularly think there's going to be any United fan that would argue otherwise. If you really, really wanted to get into an argument, you might say, well, as I said, Jack Grealish hasn't exactly had a great season either. He's hardly done a thing, but he's in the squad. Luke Shaw. I've gone back there. Luke Shaw. Sorry, missed him. I think I'm on edge this morning. because about a million things broke before the stream. And I think I managed to get them all fixed. And Marcus Rashford went onto Instagram, said this after, said, wishing Gareth and the boys all the best for the up-and-coming tournament. But for Marcus, right, is... and now, Josh, you've just put a comment down there, which I thought was incredibly telling. Has anybody even mentioned the fact that Jadon Sancho's not in there? No. He's a byline right now, for England anyway. And England are just so ridiculously talented going forward. Rashford can't be upset about it. I mean, that's a lie. He can be upset about it, but he can't feel like he's hard done by. And like, if that's not a reality check for Marcus Rashford, then I don't know what ever will be. Being dropped by Manchester United, being dropped by Erik ten Hag after what's happened at Belfast and what's happened with form, what's happened with injuries, falling out with the fan base, quite a lot of the fan base, and a sort of a loggerheads with Marcus Rashford, despite being an academy player. And then England, which may have been one of his safe areas, a place where he went there and can sort of step away from United and go, it's less pressure here. Marcus Rashford's not even in the preliminary squad. Gareth Southgate's just not giving him an opportunity because he doesn't feel he deserves it. Now, if that isn't a wake-up call to Marcus Rashford and his career, then I don't know what will be. If we're looking on the positive side of things, Marcus Rashford now has a complete summer off. And sometimes that can be what resets a player. Because it'll be a little bit like, it'll be kind of a glimpse into what retirement's going to be like for Marcus Rashford. He'll be sitting there at home, wanting to play in the Euros, but he's not playing in the Euros because he hasn't been picked. Like, Marcus, this is what's going to happen to you in the future. How much do you want to hold on to the fact that you still could be in the England squad if your form was completely spot on? Will that be something that re-energises Marcus Rashford and brings him back next season at Manchester United, a totally different player? It could do. It may well do. We've got no guarantees that Marcus Rashford's going to be a Manchester United player next season, although I do think he will be. Either that or PSG come in with a monster bid, and I don't know whether they will. Shax, thank you so much, dude. And Tom, you gifted... Shax, you gifted 5 memberships, and Tom, you gifted 10. Let's get a gong for both of you. Legends. Peria. I can't remember what the 10 gong is now. What is it?
Oh, 10!
I don't think I'll ever get bored of that. I don't think I'll ever get bored of that. That's probably my favourite one. Big up to you guys and girls. Thank you to everybody, by the way, all the members yesterday who commented on my post on the community tab. I asked for your sort of input into what you'd like to see, because we've got the Discord, which is a wonderful place for the community. But I'm probably going to start doing, if anybody joined me for the 400k sub special, it was just a little kind of a personal Q&A with me. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I quite enjoyed that. Mark, that is loud. It's worth it. But yeah, I'm going to read. Can you fire in some comments here about Marcus Rashford, right? Danny's saying he's only got himself to blame. I think previously, the entourage, actually, I'm risking getting tweeted as well here. You remember when Rio said, I thought it was such an innocent, not an innocent thing to say, like a genuine concern. Genuine concern for Marcus Rashford that was shown by Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand in the overlap. And then his brother tweets out, sends an Instagram post saying, you had the ability to come behind the scenes. You could be doing stuff. Yeah, I apologize, everyone, because I'm pretty sure YouTube is bugging out today. It's bugging out for me. It booted me off here. I had to reconnect everything. So I think YouTube's having a bit of a brain fart. Because I can see quite a few of you down there commenting on it. Health, you're saying, Health X, a move for United will do wonders for Rashford. Because if he doesn't leave, he needs to have an amazing season. Well, he needed to have an amazing season every season. You kind of do as a Manchester United player. Maybe not an amazing season every season, but you have to show that when you don't have that sort of work ethic, I always say this, you go back to the basics. Fans get angry about the fact that you're not putting in a shift, that you're not leaving like blood, sweat and tears, that you're not leaving everything on the pitch. Then as soon as you do that, it's not as if you get the fans off your back. It's the fans' attention changes towards the quality and the output. So if you're putting in the work rate and the ethic, cool, you're going to have fans on your side. And they're probably going to be patient with you if the form isn't there. Like Rasmus Højlund is a perfect example, right? Rasmus Højlund didn't score in, the first 14 Premier League games. But I don't really think there was one United fan who got on his back. Maybe it's because it was his first season. And in the first season, you do get more. I feel like a teenager. Look at that. I got his spot. In the first season, you get more leeway from fans. But as long as you're actually grafting, then fans will probably just support you until you can burst through and refine that form. And I think Højlund is the perfect example of that. And then Rashford's a bit of the opposite end. People look into his body language, a lot of what you see on the pitch. You see other players like Garnacho, and you go, well, why isn't Rashford doing that? Why isn't Rashford tracking back as much? I'm not saying that Rashford's relationship with United fans is poisoned past the point where it can be repaired. But I think it's a real, it's kind of a life decision now. It's a life decision for Marcus Rashford as to what he wants to do, and of course what United want to do. But I think we found last season you can't sell a player if they don't want to be sold. Remember that? Well, that happened with us with Harry Maguire, and he sort of dug his heels in, and then that got really annoying. Vicky, you're saying it's his body language more than anything. It's quite a few things in Marcus Rashford. But if there's only one person who can bring him out of this mess, and it is Marcus Rashford. There's only one person who has got him to the point where he is not going to the Euros, and that is Marcus Rashford. So it's completely up to him and how he comes out of this. It's all his choice from this point on. And no matter what happened, no matter what has happened previously, all of that can be pushed to one side. How he addresses it from this point onwards. Like, mate, season, FA Cup final, then season is done. You're going to sit at home watching the Euros. Do you want to really graft and bring your way back into this Manchester United team and be part of a new era? A new era is about to begin at Manchester United. The era that we've had has lasted 10 years. Post-Fergie to now. We've had an FA Cup win. We've had a League Cup win or two. We've had a Europa League win. Yeah. This 10-year period is not really going to be remembered fondly in history books of Manchester United. Hopefully the 10 years from now until 2034 will be. Does Rashford want to be part of the first part of that? It's up to him. Because I don't think United will boot him out. If he wants out, United will facilitate that. I don't think United will boot him out. I'm going to read a couple of super chats down here. I apologise to anybody if there's some bugs happening this morning. But I see they're joining as a legend, dude. Awesome guy. Akash, you gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you so much, man. And there's a couple of super chats, and I'll read these out now. Once Fergie says that.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell.
Akash is saying, so Dave told Southgate to drop Rashford. Wasn't there rumours going around previously like Rashford was part of like the entourage that was trying to get Southgate in at United? I swear I saw those somewhere. Alex, you're saying there's some serious competition for the right wing and the left wing positions for England. Mate, that front line is ridiculous. You're saying you're amazed Southgate's picked a squad largely based on form. I mean, you could say form, but Bellingham is one of the best players in the world. Jarrod Bowen has been doing it all season, I think, with West Ham. Eze, you could say he's come into a good vein of form, but Eze is a very technical and very gifted player. Phil Foden, Premier League player of the season, wasn't he? I think he was. Anthony Gordon, I think he's been pretty much doing it all season with Newcastle. Offers something different as well. Jack Grealish, I mean, he hasn't picked him on form. For sure. Harry Kane, don't need to speak about him. Cole Palmer, goals galore. Saka, goals galore. Tony, I think he just wants an alternative centre-forward option to Harry Kane. So I'm guessing that one of Tony or Watkins gets dropped for the final squad. I'm guessing so. But I don't know. That squad is ridiculous. Can't wait for it to get knocked out in the quarterfinals. It's going to be fun. But look, congratulations to these two here, right? Kobbie Mainoo, he should be on that plane. We know. Because Gary? I just called him Gary. As if I just called Gareth Southgate Gary. Anyway. I speak a lot about profiles of players because I think I think if you really focus on profiles, you really start to understand what a team needs and what a team doesn't need, more so than just top level stats. That's my personal opinion on looking at profiles. And Kobbie Mainoo is somebody who is excellent at receiving the ball under pressure. In terms of his profile, it's actually quite hard to define because I think he could play a number 6 if you wanted him to, but he's far, far better than that. He's somebody that you want in the opposition's half. Basically, if you put a big circle right in the centre circle, and Kobbie Mainoo can have like the 20, 30 yards into the opposition's half and 20, 30 yards into his own half. That's a kind of, Dan, you're saying like a Spanish number 6. He's just very technical. Good at receiving the ball in tight spaces. And there aren't many English players who are good at that. So congratulations to both of them. And one last little point on the England squad before we move on to talk about Poch for a little tiny bit. I don't think Luke Shaw should be in that squad, but when you look at the fact that Ben Chilwell was missing because of injury, if Luke Shaw doesn't go to the Euros, you're probably looking at Kieran Trippier playing left back. I got no idea who can play left back. I'm surprised he didn't take another left back. In that sense, it's not a surprise. I mean, Ashley Young? I mean, whoever you're getting in at left back, you're begging. Lewis Hall's not in the squad. Konsa, I mean, it doesn't matter what name you put down in the comments. It makes you go, weird. So that's why he's given Luke Shaw the opportunity to try and prove himself to be fit. But I doubt he goes. In fact, that's a lie. I think he probably will go. But I doubt he shouldn't be starting, man. Garlic Red Man, you gifted 10 memberships. You give me the ability to say hello to... I'm going to call him Gareth now. Gareth, Gary. Same thing. Oh, shit! Oh! Cheers, Gary. Anyway, back to you in the studio. I did this as a bit of a joke yesterday on... I say I did this. It's quite funny, actually. I'll say this now. Some people comment on like some of the Instagram videos, the Instagram stories and posts and stuff like that. It's like, oh, Sam's got great taste in music. And the guys are like, man, I chose that song. How come Sam's getting all the stripes? It's like people must think that I do absolutely everything. And that's something which is always, that's something which is a problem when it comes to scaling with United People's TV. Everything is kind of a direct reflection of me. So if a tweet goes out, people think I've done it. Or if an Instagram post goes out, people think I've done it. So I have to make sure that everything is sort of in line with each other and don't sort of contradict each other. It's quite difficult. Anyway, we put this out yesterday as a bit of a joke, right? Manchester United linked with managers 11. We've got Nagelsmann, Flick and Amorim up front, a midfield. Pretty good midfield, actually. Motta, Zidane and Tuchel. With the back five of Potter, Southgate, De Zerbi, Frank and McKenna. And on the bench, we've got Mourinho, Fonseca, Pochettino, Elmo, Keane and Usyk. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing Usyk come on for the second half. But Poch down there as a sub. And then this happened last night, which I think caught everyone off guard. Well, not as in caught everyone off guard that we really cared that much, but nobody really expected that to happen. After the season that Chelsea have had, I think they've only lost one since February. They've won like 5 in a spin. They ended the season really strongly. And if they were going to do it, you think they were going to do it earlier. But no, apparently not. They just waited to the end of the season. So Poch has left Chelsea. And ladies and gents, this feels like we're going back to... When was it? 2022, when Eric Ten Hag came in. Was it 2022? I think it was 2022. And remember the whole conversations that we had about who the better choice was between Ten Hag and Pochettino. And at that time, Ten Hag for me was the outstanding candidate. And I'm putting this into the middle of the show here so we can have a little 5-minute conversation, because no doubt. I mean, I said it yesterday. I was like, I'll give it like 12 hours before the Poch to United rumours started. And they didn't even take 12 hours. I think they were already out before the news actually broke. And David Ornstein was speaking on Sky Sports yesterday and commented on it. And this is what he had to say, right?
I think Manchester United have been heavily linked with him for some time before Ten Hag, like Mark says. He met with Ineos about the Nice job too, so there's a relationship there. And I'm sure that, now he's available, he will be in the thinking of clubs like Manchester United. And I'm sure, given the background, a club like Manchester United will hold some appeal to him. I'm not suggesting that it's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see what happens on Erik Ten Hag, of course. But clearly it's one to watch because they're the sort of club. And sorry, we've got phones ringing about this story.
So David Ornstein is here. He's not saying, oh, look, all of a sudden, Poch is going to Manchester United. I think it's quite interesting that he actually met Ineos about the Nice job. I didn't know that. That sort of information came out yesterday. So there's a pre-existing relationship between Ineos and Poch, which of course will fuel this fire. I don't think there's been a manager linked or a manager named, right? We can run through them all if you want to. Not one of these managers I look at and go, him. Definitely him. De Zerbi had some credit, fell off in the second half of this season. McKenna, incredible results with Ipswich. I'm going to speak about something with him next, but he hasn't done it in the Premier League. Thomas Frank, I think Thomas Frank could be a good coach. I mean, he's a good coach. Pretty good. Not less questions about Thomas Frank, actually. Gareth Southgate getting the bin. Graham Potter, well, he disappeared. That's what I mean. You can run through every single one. And I think this is, Fergie, of course, was a massive admirer of Poch. That's what I feel like when I see this stuff here with Poch. Would it be an upgrade on Erik Ten Hag? Possibly. Might completely blow up in his face. Possibly. I mean, every eventuality is possible. And I don't see Ineos pivoting away from Ten Hag to bring in Poch. I don't think. Just a personal opinion. Danny, you're saying we need stability for now. Fergie and Gary Neville love Poch. Poch would have been better 5 years ago, says Akash. Jonathan, I feel Poch is a manager that players love and improves, but is he a winner? That's something that people always... I think that's always an unfair thing to throw at a manager. Is he a winner? Well, until you've won something, you're up and coming, right? But then when you start winning things, you really prove that... And I suppose that if you're a winner and you've done it elsewhere, then you take a little bit of that risk away. But I don't think these Poch rumours should go much further than this, if I'm honest. And that's what I want to happen. I don't know whether it's actually going to happen. But something I want to comment on around Chelsea is this, right? Kieran McKenna is the leading candidate to become the Chelsea manager. That's Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian, I believe. He'd be absolutely nuts to go to Chelsea. Absolutely off his rocker to go to Chelsea. Kieran McKenna, who, by the way, has just been named League Manager of the Year, ahead of Pep Guardiola, ahead of Mikel Arteta, who I don't know why Arteta's even in the conversation, but ahead of Guardiola. And look, that's a class photo there. That deserves a like on the video. He was given the Sir Alex Ferguson League Manager of the Year award by the main Don himself, Fergie. But the idea of him going to Chelsea, like, surely you just have to look at what happened with Graham Potter. Surely. Graham Potter, when he was at Brighton, great reputation. great at working with younger players, great at building a squad, great in sort of front foot football. Bomb. Go to Chelsea, complete bomb. Kieran McKenna, if he's going to go anywhere, it should be Brighton. And I actually think Brighton would be an incredible move for him. And as I said, I actually genuinely do think that Kieran McKenna would probably be better off, not better off doing that, but I think it would be the right choice for him to go to Brighton to move on from Ipswich, because he'll want to play his expansive football in the Premier League, but he will not be able to do it with Ipswich players. The step-up's ridiculous. Tom, Neil, you're saying Chelsea the new graveyard. I mean, it's just Chelsea are just running, and Chelsea have, and this is why I've always hated Chelsea. If I'm going to liquidate one club, it's going to be Chelsea. You know, I've been saying that for a long time. Chelsea run their football club like nobody else. Like they have spent $1 billion on signings since Todd Boehly came in. They exploited the loophole of the amortized payments over 7-8 year contracts. That loophole has now been closed. They're having questions about PSR. They're selling hotels to its sister businesses. Chelsea is, in no way, shape or form, is Chelsea the mark of how to run a football club. They weren't under Abramovich because he just injected a ton of money. He didn't care about any profit. And then he got booted out of the country. Chelsea are just, you talk about stability. Do not, in my opinion, Kieran McKenna, go to Chelsea. If you're going to go anywhere, you go to Brighton or you stay at Ipswich. I think they're the two correct, well, one of those two are the correct choice for Kieran McKenna, but it's certainly not Chelsea. And sod knows who's going to go there. What manager would want to do that? I don't know. Apparently YouTube is saying that 90 people are watching right now. So there is definitely something wrong with YouTube today. So technically the technical problems, technical, aren't just with me this morning, which makes me feel slightly better. In terms of, actually, I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here on this. They go through more managers than us. Ain't that the truth? Mourinho going back to Chelsea. I'd like that. Just to watch it burn. Keep going, Chelsea. You keep doing you. People talking about De Zerbi. Might happen with De Zerbi. What else we got managerial wise? Spoke about this yesterday. And Thiago Motta's going to Juve, by the looks of it. So that's another sort of manager scratch off the list. We spoke about him yesterday, and we all said that Juve feels like the right and smart choice. But isn't it? I would love somebody to sort of do some research, I suppose. When was the last time in a summer that this many clubs of this size were looking for a new manager in the same summer? Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern, Juve, possibly Barca, possibly United. That's potentially four of the five biggest clubs in world football. And it's definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, definitely 4 of the top 10, maybe 5, and maybe 6 of the top 10. All looking for a manager in the same summer. That surely has never happened before. Yeah, Juve just got rid of Allegri. That's why Motta's going to be going to Allegri. Allegri? Don't know. I think he's probably going to go to Juve instead of Allegri. Yeah, Xavi's in for another season, but you're seeing some mad stuff like, just go and read up about the Xavi situation. It's weird. I mean, he said he's not going to stay in, then he said he's staying, and then he's saying he might not stay in again. It's weird. It's really weird what's going on there. But look, I want to move on to the main talking point for today's show. Absolutely the main talking point. Interesting. Right? Dan Ashworth. He has been placed on gardening leave since February. Okay, his garden must look sick. He's got some pruned hedges. He's landscaped the whole thing. Put a little hot tub, sunken hot tub at the back of the garden. His garden looks 10 out of 10 now. But then reports emerged yesterday from the Daily Mail saying this. That Dan Ashworth and Omar Barada had a conversation in early February. And Ashworth followed up by sending an email to Barada making it clear that he wanted to join United. However, Ashworth sent a copy to his own Newcastle email, disclosing the club negotiations with Barada. I'm like, first things first, Dan, you rookie. Dan, you rookie. Now, I didn't want to react to this sort of last time. I wanted to see how it developed, and it has. Because the Times are now reporting the exact same story. And so are the Telegraph. And unfortunately for Manchester United, this is a massive bit of leverage in negotiations for Newcastle. Okay? See, we all thought tapping up, I didn't know that tapping up was still a conversation that you had in 2024, but clearly it still exists when it comes to people in positions of power and admins, like behind the scenes. Newcastle, of course, have wanted 20 million this whole time. I think United so far have offered like 2.5 million. And we're going to the Court of Arbitration. Dan Ashworth is going, Man United are going to pay for it because he's trying to take Newcastle to court saying they're being unreasonable with the demands for this compensation. It's not quite reflective. We need to come to a compromise. And instead, oh my God, I've got something in my eye. I'm laughing because it is quite funny. But Dan Ashworth has accidentally sent an email to himself, which Newcastle have now picked up on because they've clearly going back looking through the logs. Newcastle basically went digging and they found something. I've seen quite a few of these comments. Teresa, you've left it off key as well. Genuinely, I'm going to read these comments out. Doesn't say much for Ashworth's business skills, and you want us to employ a director of football that can't send an email. I mean, I'm guessing it's all like tongue-in-cheek, but I definitely have seen some people questioning his ability as a sporting director because he accidentally CC'd himself into an email. I mean, calm down. Very much calm down. That is the stretch of the... it was BCC'd, actually. It is quite funny. As I said, just watching United trying to get a sporting director. We finally get Ineos to come in and actually have ambition to win the Premier League. We finally decide on a CEO. We get him in. We finally decide on a sporting director. And here we are 4 months into his gardening leave. And they have decided. I say they've decided. Newcastle are just determined to find dirt, and they found some dirt. Right? Jordan, you're saying, why not Paul Mitchell? Paul Mitchell put himself out of the running a long, long time ago. Manchester United didn't think that he was fit for the sporting director role, and that was the role that he had at Monaco. Man United didn't want Paul Mitchell. We moved on. That's the end of that story. So there's no point arguing about why not Paul Mitchell. I'm not Ineos. I'm not Dave Brailsford. I can't tell you why they said no to Ineos. Sorry, can't tell you why they said no to Paul Mitchell. But they made their choice. Unfortunately, as I said, this gives Newcastle probably a lot more negotiating power or leverage in the Court of Arbitration. Because United can come forward and say, look, this is the contract of Dan Ashworth. Newcastle paid somewhere in the region of £2 to £5 million to Brighton as a compensation package. They're now demanding £20 million. We think this is unreasonable, and we're using this, and here's all the legal stuff. Newcastle will then say, well, how can you trust what Man United is saying when we've got evidence here from February of their CEO coming in, speaking with our sporting director when he was under contract with our club? How can you now trust what they say? I imagine that's what the legal team of Newcastle are going to do. Chitty. Subject. Secret talks of Manchester United. Nothing to see here. It's like having the... I'm not going to say that. Anyway, I'm going to say it. Of course I am. Everyone used to have like a folder on their desktop, like old school Windows, just like work. And it definitely wasn't working there. Well, my friend did anyway. Just speaking for a friend. I would have moved on from Ashworth long ago, says Madhouse. Why? Ineos have made their choice. They want Dan Ashworth. It's just that naturally, everything is just more difficult with Man United. And that's hardly something new, isn't it? That's really hardly something new. How about Barada not sticking to his gardening leave doing this? I suppose technically that is the same thing, right? Let's see if City get offended. Ines, you say, look, you're asking what the update is. I literally just ran through it, but one quick summary. Dan Ashworth sent an email to himself about conversations with Omar Barada when he was on his gardening leave. He BCC'd his Newcastle email in, and now I think Newcastle got access to that email, which shows that he was speaking and accepted the offer for the job for Manchester United way too early, tapping up. Naughty. It's basically headhunting. It happens in business. It doesn't really happen in football, per se. But this isn't a football appointment. This is I suppose technically it is a football appointment. We're appointing a sporting director, but we're appointing someone on the business side of things. The admin side of things. Anyway, let's move on to transfers for the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. Make sure you please do drop a like on the video. I apologize to anybody who's having bugs today. I had to reconnect all my accounts, everything. I think my software updated on its own, and I think I got it all right. But also YouTube is showing some real bugs here this morning. I don't know what's going on. It's not just me. But let's speak about this, right? Just little comments here. There's no major updates for me to give you on the old board, right? There's no extra players linked at this moment in time. In terms of deals that are active, I did update that. I put Elise down as sort of probably like a level 1 at this moment in time, because Elise, Man United have been speaking with his entourage. But that's not tapping up anymore. That's what I mean. It's a bit confusing. It's like you're allowed to do it now with players, but you can't do it with directors and sporting directors. The rules are different in the corporate side of things. But currently sitting there at 59. I'll update that when I need to. As I said, if you can go into the Discord, ladies and gents, there's a thread that's been made now called Transfers Whiteboard. If there's any names that aren't on this list that I should have on this list, please fire it in there with the link where you've seen it as well, and I'll add it on here if it deserves to be added. But yeah, Fofana. Fofana's on this list. Fofana has been on this list for a while. Fofana was linked to us last summer as well, and reports suggest that he's going to be available for in the region of 20 to 30 million pounds. And if we're looking at Man United this summer should be selling Casemiro, should be selling Christian Eriksen, and getting players like Yusuf Fofana in, potentially. Or we're linked with, I don't need to run through all the central midfielders we're linked with, but I think we need 2 of them. I think we need 2 of them. So if Ashworth was on gardening leave, then surely Newcastle... And guys, I don't know about the ins and outs of it. I'm just bringing you the update here. I haven't actually... I might do a lunchtime video on it today. But speaking about Newcastle, right? Again, I've spoken about this quite a few times, right? I don't understand why the links for Adarabioyo haven't been as strong and as fierce. I believe it was Sky Sports was saying that Man United were interested in a move last week, but we haven't really had too much of an update on him. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense from a squad building perspective. And in a summer where we've hardly got any money, you can get a 26-year-old Premier League proven centre-back who definitely is going to be an upgrade on Victor Lindelof. Is he going to be good enough to start for Manchester United every week? I mean, maybe, maybe not. But he's certainly an upgrade on Lindelof. And you could therefore sell Lindelof, bring in Adarabioyo on a free, immediate squad upgrade. But Fabrizio Romano here is saying that Newcastle are almost there with signing both Lloyd Kelly and Tosin Adarabioyo on free transfers from Bournemouth and Fulham respectively. Now you might say, well, Sam, everything that's going on behind the scenes with Dan Ashworth, it's slowing us down. This summer, fingers crossed, all right, fingers crossed. This summer is the last summer that should be affected by behind-the-scenes appointments. Right? Our CEO won't be working until the 12th of July. Sod knows what's going to happen with Dan Ashworth. I've got no idea. Jason Wilcox is in. Right? And, well, you know about everything else behind the scenes. So next summer, it should be the case that Dan Ashworth settled in, Omar Barada settled in, and we approach the window really with everything laid out. Guys, stop telling me how to pronounce names. Tosin. I'm going to get some wrong. Potato. There's too many names. Imagine I knew every single one of these bad boys. Jeez. No chance. Going to get loads wrong. But I just find it strange that Man United aren't at least going after him. I really do. Now, this one's an interesting one. We won't have to wait long then to get confirmation on Fabrizio, on Benjamin Sesko. Like, I appreciate you trying to help with the pronunciation, but I promise you, it is so distracting when I read things like that. When things you get wrong and people point it out when you're mid flow, really knocks you off. And I appreciate you're just trying to help. I'm just telling you what the comments do when there's this many comments coming in. It really knocks you off. Sesko. So Fabrizio Romano is saying that he will decide before the Euros whether he's going to sign a new contract at Leipzig, presumably with a bigger release clause, and then he'd probably stay there for one more year, and then he'd probably leave for more, or he leaves this summer. I personally think that Sesko is going to be too much for us, and I question whether signing a 20-year-old striker to work with a 21-year-old striker is going to be the way that we balance it perfectly for Højlund. Because I trust in Højlund, personally, you might not, but I think Højlund's going to be getting 25-plus goals next season, right? He's got 16 in his debut season. I reckon he's getting 25 goals easily next season if we play towards him. But we need somebody to work alongside him, and I think that's probably going to be the experienced player. Someone like Guirassy more than Sesko. You could do Xerxes, right? Xerxes 22, and not really a centre-forward. He's more like a supporting striker. Actually, no, he's probably more like a centre-forward than he is a striker. A striker is somebody who sort of, the penalty area is like Ruud van Nistelrooy was a striker rather than a centre-forward. And maybe I've been misprofiling Højlund a little bit because obviously he's someone who does have strength in the channels. We'll see. I don't personally think Sesko is going to be joining Manchester United. If we go back to the whiteboard, we can see I've got him down there. It was one of the actual credible links as it stands. But let's see what happens next. And did I have anybody else down here? Yeah, I thought this was quite impressive from Crystal Palace. The fact that they've already identified a signing. They've already agreed personal terms. They've already agreed the fee. And he is going to be signing for Crystal Palace pretty damn soon. That's an impressive bit of business. And especially because, if you remember, Dougie Freedman, who is their sporting director, is in negotiations with, well, I don't know whether he's in negotiations, but Newcastle want him as the replacement for Dan Ashworth. It's impressive to see Crystal Palace acting early. And that's something that we all want to see this summer. And for me is a massive measure of whether or not this summer is going to be a success. It's really weird, all the numbers on YouTube bugging out. I don't know whether it's working. I'm pretty sure it's working properly, but it feels weird. Looks weird. Akash is saying, not sure about you, but I'd settle on Freeman as a sporting director to United now. If Dan Ashworth is the right man, I'm willing to wait. And Ineos have decided that Dan Ashworth is the right man. In the same way they decided that Omar Barada was the right man. In the same way that Omar Barada decided that Jason Wilcox was the right man. So I'm not going to question it. I would rather it get done sooner rather than later, but this is United. Leath, you're saying, what makes you write off Frimpong as a signing? Dude, Man United, first of all, there's links, but I don't think they're credible. And also, Man United, you know how much we've got to do this summer. 2 centre-backs, a central midfielder, a backup striker, and a creative winger are all ahead of a right-back as a signing. And a left-back. That's 5. 6, actually, signings I'm making ahead of a right-back. That's why Frimpong is down there in the red. And also, Frimpong is not a right back. Can people just... I'm guessing a lot of people, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but a lot of people would have looked at the numbers for Frimpong going, hold on, a right back who's got how many goals and how many assists? Get him in. The dude is a right winger. Go watch the Leverkusen game tonight, which, by the way, segue. We'll see Matej Kovar start in goal in the Europa League final. So Xabi Alonso being loyal to the sort of cup goalkeeper. So congratulations to Matej. But Frimpong plays as a right wing back, and they play with 3 centre backs. And just look, you can go and look at his average position in the same way that Grimaldo at the same time. Both of them, left wing back, and the right wing back at Leverkusen are just wingers. You get Frimpong in a right back at Manchester United. Boy, are we going to get hit down that side. Different type of player, different position, and nowhere near the priority of what Manchester United need. That's why he's down there as a red signing. Explained. But yeah, looking forward to it. I don't know whether I can be bothered to watch that. Maybe. Maybe not. Might just see it to see how Kovar plays. I'm also quite interested to see whether Leverkusen can do that invincible treble. Man, that would be an achievement. I do think we've got a buyback on Kovar. I imagine with Matej Kovar, so correct me if I'm wrong, does a buyback mean we can just buy him back at any price, at a price that we've already fixed and agreed? That could be the case. Or is it a first refusal? So if Leverkusen decide to sell Kovar and they sell him for 40 million, we could sign him for 40 million because we have the right of first refusal, so we can match that bid. I kind of think that's more what it is. I don't think we've got an agreed fee of, look, we can, in 2 years' time, if we want to sign him back, we can sign him back for 20 million. That, I suppose, technically is what a buyback is. So I'll be honest, I don't know what it is with Kovar. I know we've got something. I don't know whether it's a sell-on clause, a buyback, or a first refusal, but there's something built into that. I'm guessing it's first refusal. Anyway, watching that tonight. And something else that happened yesterday, which is pretty cool. England's under-17s won 4-0. Marky Moore, I think, plays for Spurs, was absolutely ridiculous, scoring 2 goals. But from an England perspective, go down here. Jack Fletcher played 75 minutes and then came off for Harry Mass. Look at that. Oh, look at back 3. Oh, look at that. So presumably he ended up playing there. But congratulations to the under-21s, under-17s. 4-0 win yesterday. And I think France were runners-up last time. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. That was a really good start to the competition. Last couple of minutes of the show. Fire any questions and comments. I hope that YouTube has fixed itself tomorrow, because it feels very strange. It's the under-17s European Championships. They started yesterday, Sandman. And we've got Harry and Mass there, and we've got Jack Fletcher. And I think in the under-18s, we've got Eli Harrison and Ethan Wheatley. I don't know when they start, if I'm being honest. Norwich have released 19 players after failing to earn a promotion to the Premier League. They must have all had some clauses in there if you fail to get it. Y'all gonna be sick. Gary's saying, have you watched 99 on Amazon yet? Not yet. I want to watch it. I'll watch an episode over the weekend. Rob saying, have you sorted your rehab? No, I'm in full rehab swing now, and it's exhausting. I'm doing hydrotherapy twice a week, physio 3 times a week, gym 3 times a week for the next 6 weeks. This is the first week of it. Hopefully, after all of that, things will be better. I'm bored. I tell you that. FA Cup final this weekend. I'm probably going to do my lunchtime video today on my preview for the final. I'll do a little bit more of an in-depth one. I'll pull up City's 11, Manchester United 11, look at form, and probably isolate the key areas I think will matter come Saturday. Is it 3 p.m., 4 p.m. kickoff? One of the two. But big up to all of you. Thank you all for tuning in. I apologize to anybody who's had some problems on YouTube or Facebook today. Not that many comments coming through from Facebook. YouTube, it's showing like 40 people watching it. Sod knows. Actually, it wasn't my fault. The technical problems weren't just with me. So big up to all of you. I'll see you after today. So tomorrow. I'm losing my mind.